Hello. I have been reading The Spanish Love Deception from Elena Armez, and I have to say, this has got to be one of my favorite romantic comedies in recent memory. I'm about 80% in, and unless the final act completely combusts and falls apart spectacularly, I can't imagine I won't give this 5 stars. It has everything that I want in a romantic comedy. I'm going to do more of a review, most likely tomorrow on my channel, and considering that I'm 80% in the book, there is still time for things to fall apart, but I highly doubt it. For a debut novel, it is just really strongly crafted together. I've seen a lot of comparisons of this book to The Hating Game, which is probably one of my favorite contemporary romantic comedies. But I think where there was mistakes in The Hating Game, this book kind of took that and elevated it even more so. And I mean that with no disrespect to Sally Thorne in The Hating Game, because it is one of my all-time favorites. It's just fantastic with amazing banter and chemistry that just pops off the page. And this one is just very similar in the sense that I got wrapped up in it right away. And the two characters just play off each other really well. Now, even though this is pitched as an enemies to lovers, it's not really an enemies to lovers. Most romantic comedies really aren't. It's always just misunderstanding of each other's characters and misinterpreting scenes and thinking that the person, typically the cold, aloof male figure, is not interested in you and thinks of you as something silly to be scorned and scoffed at, when really and truly he secretly is crazy about you, the protagonist. And this doesn't fail that as well. I just think that the romantic tropes that are in this are just really well executed. Like, you expect that most enemies to lovers rom-coms will take place in some form of a business setting, an office romance of some sort. You'll always expect that the female character, the lead protagonist, will be bubbly and bright and upbeat, and she gets along with mostly everyone with the exception of the male lead. Of course, he'll be cold and aloof and seemingly biting and sarcastic. And then something of the dynamic shifts. They come together for some zany plot, and through that coming together, she starts to see a softer side of him. They have moments of vulnerability to one another. Bam, they're in love. That's typically the formula. And yet, when you know that you're expecting things, you kind of want to rush through it and get to the good stuff. But I just found myself so completely captivated in the way that this story unfolded. And it also takes on the fake dating trope. And even though you know what entails in fake dating tropes, inevitably the two leads will have to share a bed for some really weird reason, but somehow plot wise it works. And I don't mean to give away a ton of spoilers, but these are tried and true tropes, right? Like in like a office romance, there's typically a scene where the two leads get trapped in the elevator and all that unresolved sexual tension kind of bubbles to the surface, that kind of a thing, right? So not to say that those scenarios exactly happen in The Spanish Love Deception, but the tropes are just carried out really well. And even though you have an inkling of what's going to happen, you're still completely swept into the romance. And this author, for a debut author, just did the romance so well. I'm not saying that there isn't things that you can quibble about, that there isn't things that you can nitpick, but overall, I just think it's a super strong debut. And like I said, unless in the next last remaining percentage of the book things spectacularly fall apart, I can't imagine I wouldn't walk away giving this a 5-star review. It's just that good. And I don't know what possessed me to give this book a shot today. It was probably me perusing TikTok once again, and this is one of the other books that has been getting a lot of buzz on TikTok. I remember recently picking up People We Meet on Vacation and completely gobbling it up. And this is the exact same scenario where I just completely fell into it. And it's relatively a lot cheaper than a lot of ebooks from, traditionally published authors. in the same genre. So it's lowly priced for the ebook, and it delivers the exact same punch as traditionally published rom-coms right now. Actually, I even think it does better than a lot of them that are being touted right now. It is so good. It's so good. And it just makes me happy because I love reading books where I almost finish them, if not finish them, in a single day. Like, I typically space out my reading, and sometimes it can take me months to finish a book. But I love it when I just gobble up a really good, hearty romantic comedy filled with sexual tension, filled with snappy dialogue, filled with two characters where you actually root for their relationship. And even if you recognize romantic tropes that are being played out, you still enjoy it and you still are anticipating every move. I love it. I love it so much. I'm going to do most likely another video that gives maybe a more detailed review, but as you can tell already, I am loving this story so much, and I'm just hoping that the remaining final act of this will deliver. But so far, huge thumbs up to the Spanish Love Deception. Just great, great stuff.